Fortnite has had some pretty awesome weapons and items since its release, but sometimes they release a weapon or an item that just doesn't really seem to make sense. On these rare occasions, Epic Games will take the offending item and throw it straight into what they call the vault, which basically means that the gun or item is gone forever. So far, nothing has come out of the vault alive, and in today's video, we'll be taking a look at the top 10 Fortnite items removed from the game. Legend has it, if you like this video and subscribe to Arcade Cloud, then Epic Games will bring all of the overpowered weapons out of the vault again. So make sure you like this video and subscribe! Or we could be lying to you.
Number 10. Common SMG.
A useless weapon in a video game is pretty much the worst possible thing to try and use. And honestly, the SMG used to be the single most useless weapon in all of Fortnite Battle Royale. When it was first added to the game, it was completely useless when compared to any of the other guns in the game. If you were going to use it at closer ranges, then you were going to get killed by someone with a shotgun. I mean, the shotgun literally kills you with a single shot to the head. If you were going to use it at longer ranges, then the extra accuracy of any assault rifle makes the gun useless as well, because you're just going to get out-aimed. You would expect a weapon with a high fire rate and a high bullet spread to deal some serious damage, right? It should be able to just melt people. But for some reason, Epic Games decided that hitting for 11 damage on the body and 28 damage on the head would be enough. Like, at those damage rates, it would take 9 body shots to kill anyone with 100 health and 18 body shots to kill anyone with full shield. That's a whole load of hits, way more than pretty much any other gun in the game.
Number 9. Crossbow.
When you think of a crossbow, you might think of an awesome weapon in the hands of a medieval warrior, shooting off giant arrows to skewer your enemies and destroy them in a single hit. Yeah, well, the crossbow in Fortnite Battle Royale was nothing like that. In fact, some people might say that the crossbow is one of the worst weapons in the game, and probably should have never been added in to begin with. Now, don't get me wrong, there were definitely some good things about the crossbow. It had a scope, so you could shoot over insanely long ranges. It had no sound when you fired it, so you could be as stealthy as you wanted. Oh, and it had unlimited ammo, so as long as you had good aim and you weren't spotted, you could just shoot forever. But because it had all of those positives, there had to be some pretty significant downsides. The crossbow had an insanely low rate of fire. The damage it did was so small that you had to hit people so many times. It just didn't make sense to use. And the drop-off was so intense that you had to aim so high and lead so far that it was basically impossible to use. Luckily, the crossbow is in the vault now, so you don't have to worry about pulling it from a chest anymore.
Number 8. Guided Missile.
When the guided missile was first introduced into Fortnite Battle Royale, everyone freaked out. I mean, come on, a weapon that you could shoot from a distance and then control its destination without having to put yourself in harm's way? Of course that was going to be overpowered in a game like Fortnite. And from the moment it was announced, everyone was worried about what it would do to the game. Well, it turns out that everyone's worries were completely well-founded, because as soon as the guided missile was put into the game, it became one of the most overpowered weapons that we had ever seen in the history of Fortnite. People were literally sitting really far back and away from people and sending rocket after rocket in against their enemies. Sure, you could totally kill people that were locked into the rocket's view, but what were the chances of getting in close when the guy could literally control rockets? Even when Epic Games tried to nerf the guided missiles, they ended up being way too strong. So in the end, they just had to remove it entirely.
Number 7. Smoke Grenade.
Back to things being useless. When Fortnite Battle Royale first released, there were no smoke grenades in the game. Fortnite was a super fast-paced game where barely anyone camped and you built around all of your problems. Smoke grenades only really work in a game where you have to be tactical with how you approach your enemies, and with how you move out from behind cover. Like in a game of PUBG, you might lay down a smoke grenade if you want to move up on an enemy, or if you want to fall back from one piece of cover for another. That just doesn't happen in Fortnite Battle Royale. And eventually Epic Games realized that there was no reason for smoke grenades to be in the game, and so they just removed them instead.
Number 6. Ceiling Zapper.
The Ceiling Zapper is basically this giant Tesla coil that you used to be able to strap to the ceiling. If anyone walked under it, they would take 125 damage, which is a pretty hefty amount of damage to take if you're weak already and not expecting to get hit by a random trap. Other than the intense damage though, the Ceiling Zapper was pretty bad. If you knew what to look for, then you could easily pick out where a Ceiling Zapper trap was. For a start, the Ceiling Zapper gave off this really weird blue glow from the lightning that it generates. And it might not be too loud, but it gives off this strange buzz that a good player could take note of. Not only that, you were pretty limited in how you could place it. I mean, the thing is called a Ceiling Zapper for a reason, and you could only place it up on the ceiling. In comparison to the damage trap that is currently in the game, it had like no real utility at all.
Number 5. Spike Trap.
If I said the spike trap had been taken out of Fortnite Battle Royale, then you might get a bit confused. Because I'm sure you've seen plenty of Fortnite videos where a guy gets a crazy kill by setting up a whole load of spike traps for someone to jump through, with traps hitting them from every angle. Well, technically that isn't a spike trap. It's a damage trap. Spike traps in their original form were taken out of the game and snuck into the vault.
Once upon a time, you were only able to attach a spike trap to the floor of a structure.
Which was seriously obvious. I mean, you've pretty much always got the floor in view, so before anyone got anywhere near a spike trap, they would just see it and, well, not step on it, obviously. Much like the ceiling zapper, the spike trap would do 125 damage if it hit someone, which is pretty big if considering how obvious they were.
Number 4. Wall Dynamo.
Since we're already on the subject of traps, the final trap that has been stuck into the Fortnite vault by Epic Games is the Wall Dynamo. Like the other two, it did 125 damage on hit, but it suffers from some really similar pitfalls as the ceiling trap. For a start, it can only be placed against walls, no ceilings or floors. It also gives off a really similar blue glow and buzzing sound to the ceiling trap, which gives it away pretty easily. The reason all these traps were taken out of the game was because Epic Games realized that having separate traps for walls, ceilings, and floors just served to clog up people's inventories and made it harder to get the right trap out when you wanted to. So instead of having that be a problem, they came up with the damage trap we currently have in the game. It consolidated all the traps into one single item, and then was way too strong, so had to get hit with a nerf from 125 damage to 75 damage. Still, at least we don't have to worry about sorting through 3 different traps anymore.
Number 3. Directional Jump Pad.
The directional jump pad does pretty much exactly what you would expect it to. It launches you in a horizontal direction. If you were to jump on it, then you would be propelled forwards, allowing you to clear vast distances in a matter of seconds. Sounds like a pretty useful item, right? Well, these days there's no needs for the directional jump pad because you have the launch pad. And when you use the launch pad, you can literally go in any direction you want. And then you can open up your parachute to get even extra distance as well, making it infinitely more useful than the directional jump pad. I mean, who would ever use a directional jump pad over a launch pad? I mean, you can still take fall damage after using a jump pad, so the risk really doesn't seem worth it. Despite all that though, the directional jump pad might be making a surprise reappearance if the data mining of 2 Epic buddies is to be believed. They have found things buried deep in the files that implies that directional jump pad might be making a return. And this time it may even be useful. If the data mining is correct, you'll be able to place this return jump pad on the walls and the ceilings as well as the floor, which could lead to some pretty interesting outplays or trap setups. Not only that, once you run a shopping cart over the new jump pad, it will supposedly send you and your cart flying, which is sure to lead to some really awesome Fortnite clips.
Number 2. Infinity Gauntlet.
Okay, so technically the Infinity Gauntlet was never added to the main Fortnite game. It was just a part of a limited time mode that was released to celebrate the launch of the Avengers Infinity War movie. But at the same time, it was totally an item in the game, and you can't use it anymore because the limited time mode is now over. The Infinity Gauntlet would come crashing down to Earth during the Infinity Gauntlet limited time mode, and the first person to find and pick it up would be transformed into the Mad Titan himself, Thanos. After becoming Thanos, you would have a huge health pool, some really beefy melee attacks, a super jump, and last but not least, the ability to shoot rapid-fire laser beams. If the person who was playing as Thanos was killed, they would drop the gauntlet, and someone else could pick it up and start the Thanos fun again. It was an awesome limited time mode, and it sucks that we probably won't see it again because it was just a deal with Marvel at the time. Here's hoping we get the Infinity Gauntlet LTM again when Avengers 4 comes out next year, because it was a seriously fun time.
Number 1. Zappotron.
You can't have a video about items that have been removed from Fortnite Battle Royale without talking about the one and only Zappotron. The Zappotron was a laser sniper that could deal massive amounts of damage at any range with no bullet drop that a normal sniper would experience. The only real downsides the weapon had were the charge-up times to get to full damage and the lack of any scopes. But considering you could make the crosshairs so tight that it was basically impossible to miss, that doesn't really matter all too much. Pretty much as soon as it was added to the game, Epic realized their mistake. They had just released a seriously powerful gun onto the people playing Battle Royale, way stronger than anything else on offer. The Zappotron was the fastest gun to ever be removed from Fortnite Battle Royale, and even though loads of people love this thing, I kinda hope it never comes back. there you have it, our list of the top 10 Fortnite items removed from the game.
Do you agree? Did we miss something? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more great videos from Arcade Cloud on Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Take care and game on!